Dave Knudsen, Gravity Capital. Today I would like to talk to you about what you think is one of the biggest problems in lending. And that is when you get a lender, or borrower I should say, that doesn't want to pay you. Which brings me to one of our hardest properties that we've ever had to collect on. This is property in Mentor, Ohio. A guy by the name of Joe came to us and wanted to borrow $255,000. As is usual, we go through all of our checks and balances to find out what we think the property was worth. County had it listed at $414. We had some comps that indicated it was maybe worth $635,000. We had a broker who said he thought it was worth $530,000. We zeroed in after looking at all these. We thought the value was $550,000. Because of that, we decided to lend Joe $255,000. Now, out of that amount of money, we charged 10% up front. So we took $25,000 roughly for points, and we funded to Joe $230,000. Joe paid an interest rate of 18%, and he was to make monthly interest-only payments for 1 year, and then at the end of the year, he was going to pay us off. Joe, after 6 months, made us about $26,000 in payments. Then he gave us the bird and said, I don't care what you guys do, I'm not going to pay anymore, which he didn't. We waited for a while for Joe to decide what he wanted to do. In fact, we ended up waiting about a year and a half. And through that year and a half, we have built into a note a default rate. The default rate was 24% interest, which means once Joe decides to stop making payments, we can charge now 24% interest, which we did. The other thing that Joe didn't know, well, he knew about, but the other thing that we put in these loans is a late fee. So every time Joe was late on making a payment, we would charge an extra 10%. And in including, when the loan came due a year after we made the loan, he also had another 10% fee that he had to pay because he didn't pay it off. So Joe didn't make payments, told us to jump in the lake, and what we ended up doing is having to start foreclosure. Now keep in mind, all I did was just wait for Joe. We hired an attorney. The attorneys did the foreclosure. We patiently waited for the attorney to foreclose, and at the foreclosure sale, 2 days before the foreclosure sale, we sold the property and ended up getting $407,000 right 2 days before the foreclosure sale. This one happened to come from a guy who had a second mortgage, so Joe had talked somebody else into lending him another $500,000 to $800,000 behind us, and that guy ended up paying us off. Even if he wouldn't, we would have gone to the foreclosure sale and would have sold it for that because we still believed it was worth somewhere in this range. So let's look at this, how this loan turned out. We lent him at basically $230,000. We got $407,000. Of that, $34,000 were late fees. $32,000 of that were extra default interest rate. At the end, we turned out getting a 41% return annualized over 2 years. That means over 2 years, each year we got a 41% return. All we did was wait for Joe. So these hard collecting loans, let me tell you, are without a doubt the best loans. Dave Knudsen, Gravity Capital.